Hi, everybody. Welcome to Don't Just Survive, Thrive with Dr. Daniel Toe from the Surrey School District. This is the second last episode before I take a break from the summer. I want to welcome all of you here to the Stigma-Free Society live Facebook live event and YouTube live event. This is Be Who You Are by Stefan Kurtenbach. Also known as Jeff Speed, I think it is. And I just wanted to welcome all of you, and all of you who are going to be logging on now or logging on later. Thank you for watching. This is really great. It's been almost a year since I've been doing these live hits for the Stigma-Free Society. And I do want to remind all of you that while I am doing this for the Stigma-Free Society, I'm also an employee of the Surrey School District, and everything I say and do and speak about is a representation of my work in the Surrey School District, and just wanted you all to know that so that there's no confusion. I represent both the Surrey School District as well as our partner, the Stigma-Free Society. And just want to get you to the next screen here. Always technology is a bit of a funny issue when I am broadcasting, for sure. This is all my contact information as you log on or as you're watching. If you are watching live, you can ask questions in the chat. If you are watching after, you can email me at the school district email. You can text me on my cell. You can go to the Twitter, or you can go to my blog and check out what I'm writing on there as well, on my website and on my blog. And today, actually, what I'm going to be talking about will also, a version of it will be also on the blog later on. I just lowered my chair a bit. I hope that you do have time to take a look at the site and take a look at the blog, as I will be putting on a version on the blog just for educators, what I'm going to be speaking about today. So, what am I? Oh, I always forget, Andrew, I didn't want to forget that you should definitely go to the Stigma-Free website and check out the Stigma-Free toolkit for mental health and wellness for parents, students, and educators. They also have a COVID-19 toolkit. I know that we're nearing the tail end, and maybe people are watching Dr. Bonnie Henry right now instead of watching me, which is totally fine. Her and the Premier and I think the Works Minister are looking at stage 3 and what that looks like come July. So if you're watching them and watching this after, that's totally okay. So what will we be talking about today? Well, this is the second last episode, and it is the end of the school year. So I think the best thing is to first of all talk about graduation. But before I talk about graduation, and I will be talking about something a little bit different than what you typically think about, I want to congratulate the two graduates in my life. First of all, Justin Yee, our step-nephew. So proud of you and what you've done at Collingwood School and just your graduation. There's my little niece there, Alexis, and her mom watching your graduation. Those are all the Collingwood grads. And again, just congratulations, Justin, on your graduation. And as you go off to university in not this province, we will definitely miss you. Justin, just so proud of all that you've accomplished, and looking forward to your career as you study to be an engineer. Also, congratulations to Jenna Pong, our niece, my wife's niece, who her sister's daughter, graduating from Burnaby Mountain. You can see the small little text there that she was a co-valedictorian there, but she was also able to graduate with her mom as one of the staff of Burnaby Mountain, which is a very, very proud moment. There's actually a video on Twitter circling around from the vice principal there that took a video of that and put it on Twitter. Just a very proud moment for her family that her mom could witness her daughter's graduation from the school where she teaches. That's my wife there in the mask. Always a shout out to the healthcare workers. My wife not only wears a mask at graduation, she wears a mask at work all the time to keep us all safe. So to my wife and all her friends, of course, thank you for all that you've done. But congratulations to Jenica, who graduated from Burnaby Mountain. Justin and Jenica, kudos to you for making it through the COVID-19 14 months, and really Folks, it has been a long 14 months. And to top it off, we've had like a few days of, even if you're watching this in Alberta, those of you who are watching in Ontario, we've had unbelievable heat here. I've had to actually in my office, home office, turn off the fan so you can actually hear this. But know that in my lovely shirt, I am sweating, and I probably will have to, wipe down after doing this broadcast because it's a little bit hot. But I want you to hear this. So unfortunately, that's what it is. Actually, the last 2 days, we've had about 40-degree weather. So in the house, it's a little bit more. Today, outside, it's a balmy 28, 29, 30. So in the house, it's only about 31, 32, 33. But with my door closed and no air circulating except for a window, slightly hotter than that. But that's okay for all of you. I will endure that. And again, if you have any questions about what I'm going to be speaking about, please make sure you ask it in the chat. So on to graduation. And I'm just going to increase this a little bit. Let's change the view here. It's graduation time. And what better time to give a graduation speech to all of you, but it's going to be a post-COVID-19 grad speech to all of you. It's not going to be your general, wish. And I've had the opportunity to do a speech for all the graduates of the programs that I run. And it's always, a wonderful, heartwarming experience for a principal or a school leader to be able to give a graduation message, because that means that the folks who are graduating, the grade 12s, essentially, have made it, right? My son just finished kindergarten today, and he graduated kindergarten. He said that his favorite part of kindergarten was lunch. He's got it right. Spencer, you've got it right. And my daughter just finished grade 4. And kids go from K all the way to, so basically 12 years of school, 12 years of every day going bell to bell, taking classes and taking PE and having lunch and doing many different things and joining teams. And they finally made it. And when they hit the grade 12, when they walk across that stage, there's almost a sigh of relief, like, oh man, I've totally made it. This is amazing. They walk across, some of them cheer, some of them scream, and their families are cheering and clapping. In our ed services school programs, some of the families are crying because, their son or daughter walk across the stage. That's the first graduate in their family. Just so many mixed emotions when they graduate. Now, for all of us in society, and actually the news conference going on right now in BC, is a different graduation speech. In fact, it's not that we've graduated from any classes or courses or programs, but indeed it feels like that all of us in the education system and indeed in society have graduated from COVID-19. Yes, it's still with us, but almost 76% of us or more are vaccinated in BC. There is scientific evidence to show that the vaccine is working because the cases are down and BC is opening up, hence the news conference happening right now. And really, it feels like the same as it felt like when many of us have crossed the graduation stage. Oh, we've made it. These 14 months of unprecedented lockdowns and changes and having to not being able to see friends and family in the way that we're used to, not being able to travel, not being able to do many of the luxuries in life that we took it for granted, that we thought were things that we could always do. When those things disappeared, it was a struggle for many of us. And in BC, we actually were able to do more than most of Canada. And yet we still found that a struggle. And now that we hit, the 2 days before July 1st, it feels like this is our graduation as a society. This is our graduation, especially in education, where our staff, teachers in BC, and the parents have lived, and we've talked about this high level of stress in the last little while to go to school every day, for the teachers and educators and EAs and support staff and principals to give an educational environment to the students, for the parents to send their kids in faith with that always that apprehension of, are they wearing their masks? Are they going to be safe? Are they going to catch something by mistake? Is there a transmission letter coming to my house? All of these different stresses that happened in our daily lives, in education specifically, let alone the rest of society, has been like going through kindergarten all the way through grade 12. These last 14 months, every month has almost felt like a year. And we've been going through struggle after struggle and stress after stress. And now that we're almost at July 1st, it feels like we're crossing the stage and we've made it, And so today I really want to prepare a short speech as maybe your principal, and to say, what can you do? A lot of the times the principals, when we make speeches, we say, okay, when you are graduating grade 12, look into your future. These are the many different things that you can do and accomplish great things for society and blah, blah, blah. We say these wonderful things to encourage students as they move on through our school into the real world. Well, now that we move from the COVID-19 world back into the real world, back into what may be the new normal, what should we be doing in this summer as parents, as students, as teachers? And I'm going to speak more generally, and my blog later on that I'll post it around 4:30 today will be educator specific. But what can we do as students, families, educators to prepare for September? What can we do to make sure that we're ready for this new normal? With COVID probably existing, but with so many people vaccinated that hopefully no more people will end up in hospital, or not very many. Nobody will end up in the ICU, and COVID becomes just like a flu rather than a deadly disease that causes lockdowns. What can we do as we move into the stage 3 summer and the basically normal September? What should we be doing during the summer, this summer of graduation of the COVID-19 pandemic? And again, if you have questions about what I'm saying, please ask it in the chat. If you're watching live now, or if you're watching later, you can ask in the comments and I will answer as well. Well, first of all, I want all of us to remember to refresh. And I had it written as renew, but whether you are renewing or refreshing, you want to do something that fills you and changes the skin that you've been living in the past 14 months. These last 14 months has felt like the heat wave the last 2 days. We've been living in a heat bubble, and now that the heat's dissipating, we want to shed that off and live a little bit more coolly, more freely. Likewise, the COVID-19 pandemic, it seems like, the stress of it and basically the skin of COVID-19 that's been pressing on us, and that the cloak that we've been wearing is going to be taken off. And now it's time for us as a society, as a people, as we look towards September, as we look towards school in September, to refresh ourselves, refresh our lives. And what does that look like? Well, that could look like, I've heard the term, and this is something I wrote in the teacher's blog, or educator's blog, not just for teachers, but for support staff and administrators as well, is you might be missing traveling. And I've heard that term, revenge traveling, right? Like you're just keep applying lots of trips until I can't trip anymore. I've never heard that term before, but it came out post-COVID that we got to revenge travel. We're going to travel so much that COVID's going to be like, screaming, running around. It's a revenge to COVID of us and us traveling so much that we can't get enough of it. Well, to be honest, I think as you refresh, you actually need to do a little bit less. Don't overplan. Don't do so many things that you're exhausted by the end of summer. That by the end of summer, you don't want to be so unrefreshed that you're tired going into September. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, or a student, as you go towards regular schooling, which will be another level of stress because COVID will still be around, hanging out in sort of the air. And we'll always be a little bit worried, but things will be relatively back to normal. Right? So why go into that September exhausted? What you want to do is take time to renew and to refresh yourself, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's spending a little bit of time every day in meditation or in prayer, or spending a little bit of time every day doing something you really, really love that you couldn't do during COVID, or if it's just simply resting, right? You want to make sure that you are refreshed as you go towards September, because shedding that skin of COVID-19 and the stresses that came with it is so important for you to have that energy to start September anew. Well, the second thing is, so what do you think it is? Anybody? I don't know how many people are really watching right now, but anybody in the chat anybody want to guess what the second one is? We have refresh / renew. No guesses? No guesses? Okay, that's okay. We'll just move on to the next one. It's reignite. Yes, it's a bit of a longer term, and there's a capital on purpose. The second word in front of the we. Reignite. So not only do you want to refresh and renew, but you want to take part of the summer to reignite the fire that burns within you for learning, growing as a person. You know, my daughter, when they because of the heat, they actually canceled school, like the second last day of school, Monday, and she lost her mind. Auntie Karen, right? Jenica's mom, Auntie Karen, who had the graduate at her, but we were all at her house because her house was air conditioning, and my daughter lost her mind because she loves school. She loves learning. She loves science and PE and apparently music, which we didn't really know, but her and her brother love music. And Spencer also loves lunch. But you know, she loves learning, and for her, going to school constantly ignites that passion to learn new things, and things she takes from school, she does it at home as well. And oh, sorry for the noise outside my window, but I have to leave the window open. I think there's a truck driving by. Anyways, doesn't matter. I'll just speak a bit louder. So you want to take part of this summer to relight the fire, especially if you're an educator or a parent, relight that fire that burns within you for learning and growing as a person. Because for parents, you've spent probably most of the year doing some sort of, especially if you're learning in a hybrid format or a homeschool, you spent a lot of the year, especially again in 2020, from March to June, when we didn't have active school in the school system at all. You spent a lot of time supplementing work at home. You spent a lot of time with your child online, and you know, you probably used to want to help your child out a lot, but you might be exhausted now. You might be exhausted from helping with school. Teachers, you might be exhausted from just the constant stress of COVID-19, but also helping kids learn. And students, you might be exhausted because you never know what each day would bring. I know that in my kids' classes, and in Surrey as well, we had Teams drills. You know what a Teams drill is? It's that you need to make sure you can log on to Teams in case your class gets shut down for COVID-19. You have to do online learning for 2 weeks or 14 days of the time of isolation. Right? They did drills to make sure they could do it. I have Teams on all my devices, not just for me, but for my child. In case she gets isolated, she can log on and still have class. You know, and that's stressful for everybody. And that's why either renewal or refreshing is important, but then reigniting the passion for learning, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's professional development, signing on for a short course if you're an educator, or parents reading up on, you know, the curriculum, or reading up on what's going to be happening in school for September, talking to your child about the report card. Today, many of the kids got the report card. So talking to your child about the report card, helping them reignite their passion for, oh, what's September going to be like? This is going to be awesome. You know, it's going to be a lot different. You can do your sports again. You can be actively participating in school and the extracurriculars again. There's so much more that you can do in September. Helping them look forward to that. Helping them, your kid, reignite their passion will probably reignite yours as well. And also your fire going into September will also help the teachers reignite themselves as well. But for teachers and educators and support staff, administrators, you can also look towards professional development, seeking out your passion for teaching and learning, and reigniting that. Once you've renewed, make sure you renew first and refresh first. Don't jump right into reignite, because if you reignite something that's already soggy and tired and wet, you can't light a fire of that. I used to be a scout. I didn't even make it to Boy Scouts. I think I was just a Beaver Scout, and I tried to light fires with like tinder that wasn't really that dry. Didn't work out quite well for Daniel. That's why I only made it to Beaver Scouts and never to the Boy Scouts. So, you know, in order to reignite something, you got to reignite something that's fresh, that is dry, that is rested, right? Rested wood that's dry and ready for fire. Likewise, you can't reignite passion in yourself if you are exhausted. You want to make sure you're renewed and refreshed first, and then reignite the fire that burns within you for learning in preparation for September, whether you're a student, a parent, or an educator. And finally, whoa, it's already 2:20. Look how time flies when we're chatting. And it's just me chatting for half an hour. But as we reignite, what else can you be doing? Well, recharge. And in our age of electric cars, I'm sure you've read a lot about recharging. Well, recharging, what does that look like for a person? Well, whatever it looks like for you, recharging those relit passions and fueling them so you're ready for September is also important. So there's renewing to make sure you're fresh. There's igniting it, reigniting it, just starting up the fire, just getting it going, and then constantly recharging that, right? You don't want to just, I know that sometimes, especially when you're building IKEA furniture, right? You go to IKEA, you look at it, you're like, yeah, I want that shelf, so good. And then you bring the thing home, you're like, rip open the box, this is so good, right? And then you start it, and then you look at the instructions like, oh. And you go, maybe I'll build it after dinner. And then you go make some dinner, you come back and go, these instructions don't look very good. And then you put part of it together, go, I'm gonna make it some dessert. You make some dessert, and then day after day after day passes, and you don't build that IKEA furniture. Right? But imagine if you had a picture of a room and you had that stapled up by the IKEA furniture that you bought and say, man, every time you walk by that furniture, you say, I'm going to look at that room. I'm going to say, I want to build that. You're going to want to build it faster. And that's what it is to recharge yourself, right? As you look towards September as a student or as a parent or as a teacher, as you look towards what that could look like, first you rest. Then you say, yeah, with Pro D or with talking with my child, if you're a parent, or from a student, maybe attending summer school or watching something educational. Once you relight your passion for learning, then how do you keep that going? How do you keep recharging that so that when September hits, you are renewed, you are relit, and you are recharged, ready to go, right? So whatever that is for you, whether that's traveling and learning about things as you go, spending time as a family to rebond and reconnect, spending time with friends and or colleagues, people you haven't seen for a while, and rebuilding that familial connection, whatever it takes to renew, relight, and recharge yourself, you need to go do those things as we are in the summer. These 2 months need to be a time that you can make a palpable difference in your life to be ready for whatever comes in September. Last summer, there was some traveling and there was a BCV start. It feels, though, very different than this one. Last summer, we didn't know what would happen with COVID. We didn't have our vaccines. We knew that the numbers could probably come in a second and third wave, and indeed they did. And there was a lot of fear and apprehension. But this summer feels a little bit different. We have the vaccines, and even those who are catching COVID-19, even with vaccines, are less sick than those who haven't been vaccinated. There is definitely an optimism that is coming this summer that's different from last summer. Last summer was a summer of apprehension. This summer feels like a summer of hope. And as we walk in this summer of hope towards a fall of open up and openness and change, back to hopefully most of the way things were, we want to really make sure that we are ready for that. You can't just be ready by living every day, hoping that just living every day by day, and then just say, September's coming, oh my goodness, right? You gotta make an intentional change, an intentional movement towards renewing yourself and refreshing yourself, reigniting the passions that you have, and then constantly recharging those things so that you feel energized and ready for September. Now, I don't know if there's any questions happening up here. I always like to leave the last few minutes for questions. If there's not, we can end early. It's totally fine. And if there are questions, I'll just wait a couple minutes. As I'm waiting for these couple minutes, I do want to remind you to please check out the blog. I'm going to be writing to educators specifically, some ideas, many of which I've shared already, about how to refresh, renew, and recharge. And of course, I'll have some pictures there, some cool pictures for you to see. And you can ask me questions on the blog as well if that's something you're interested in. So seeing no questions, I just said this. The video will actually, I'll make this one bigger because the letters are small. Make it bigger, go bigger. Oh, there we go. The video will be on my blog, which will be posted similar to this, but focused on graduation message to educators. Please go to www.drdanieltoe.com and check that out. Also, remember to go to the Stigma-Free Society webpage. They'll probably have some summer things up on how to reduce stress, as well as their COVID-19 toolkit, as well as their stigma-free toolkit. I really love the work that Andrea Paquette and her team are doing, and there's a lot of good they're doing for all of us in society to deal with the stress of now post-COVID-19. So finally, again, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact me at these contact places. And I do want to spend the last minute or so once again congratulating, going back, Justin and Jenna on their grads. Again, very proud of our family as we have 2 more grade 12s going to post-secondary and going to become, I hope, contributing citizens of society. Well, everybody, that is a wrap for the second last episode. Next time in 2 weeks, I hope to interview one more special guest. Maybe it'll be the grads. You never know. So it's a couple more surprise guests as we wrap up for the summer. And then we'll have another broadcast in August to start off the school year. Once again, this is Dr. Daniel Toe from the Surrey School District. I got to get back to the slide. Dr. Daniel Toe from the Surrey School District signing off from the Stigma-Free Society's Facebook Live and YouTube Live event. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you, whether you're watching live or watching later. I just appreciate any comments. Please, again, visit my blog at www.drdanieltoe.com and visit the website. If you want to ask me questions, do so anytime. Please have a great day, have a great week, and stay safe and stay cool.